Hey guys, welcome back to another board game review. Today's game up on the table is Quest for the Antidote by Upper Deck. It's 2 to 6 players, takes 45 to 60 minutes or something like that, and it's for ages 13 plus or so. In the game, you're going to be a dude who's poisoned, and you gotta find the antidotes. Everybody who wants the antidotes just gotta go around the board and get them. If they don't get the antidotes, they're gonna die. And every time you do something, you're gonna lose some breath. And if you get to 0, you're out of the game. You're gonna take some dice, and you're gonna roll around the board. And you're gonna fight some monsters sometimes. And if you get your antidote and get back home before anybody else, you're the winner. Upper Deck don't hate me. I'm gonna show you the game. Alright, here's the game Quest for the Antidote. It's gonna come with a rule book. And you got your characters, and they all start at 50. Got a board here, a deck of cards. I'll show you how to set it up. Put them in 2 stacks. Take the 2 10 monsters, put them in one of the stacks. Shuffle those monsters up somehow. Okay, and then you put this on the top. And then you deal out 5 sets. You're going to be putting them on the board here, like this. And you're just going to do that all the way around the board until the board's filled up with monsters. Alright, we got monsters. But they're supposed to be all filled up with monsters. Just whatever. Anyway, you got all your dudes here, and they're all at the house because they're chilling, and they're somehow poisoned, and they're sad about that. And we'll play with all of them, but here's how it works. You get 4 of these antidotes, and the rest of them, they don't matter. You don't need those. And you get to see what they are. One side is going to tell you if whether they have the potion or not. You don't got them, right? So they're all blank. We turn them over like this. Woo! Now they're filled up, and that's good. Okay, so everybody's going to get 4, and it's randomized, something like that. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Here's another one. And finally, we won't play with green, whatever. Okay, so now we got that done. We're gonna take the quest cards. We get the treasure cards or loot or whatever, and you put 4 of them down the side, and then you don't need these anymore. You don't want those. And then you got antidotes, right? And these are good here. They're meddling cards. When you have 3 players, you're gonna get more of them, and then after that or whatever, the more players you have, the less cards you're going to get. So in this 5-player game here, everybody gets 3 of them, and these cards are mean. You can play them whatever you want. They do really mean things. Really mean. They're mean. Okay, this one's not too. This card over here, these guys here, when you kill monsters, sometimes you're going to get weapons, and that's cool. They tell you on the bottom of them whether that happens or not. These are all supposed to be face down. But yeah, when you kill monsters, sometimes you get cool things like the heart of the machine and stuff. These are useful too. Okay, so in the game, whenever you roll a die, you're gonna have to move your breath thing down. If you get to 0, that's over. If you go all the way on the board, and every time you roll, movement die, fight die. So let's say red's turns first. You roll the die. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he moved. You rolled the die. He goes down 1. That's how it works for your turn. After that, you're done. Another person will roll, and they'll move 1 space, and then 1 more space. Oof. And 4 spaces. Green. 6 spaces. You getting it? That 1 space. All right, we've progressed really far. We're there. Everybody also moves up 1 because they all rolled. Remember, don't get to 0. That's bad. They'll die. The objective is you need to complete your antidotes. So if we looked at orange, okay, whoops. All right. Well, if we look at blue here, he needs grass, bears, mountains, and whatever. You need to get to these spots here, these little green spots. So blue here, maybe he needs to get here. So when he gets here, he's going to get this antidote filled up. So they're all like this, and then it'll be filled up. When you get to all the locations that have your antidotes, you're going to fill them all up, and then you go back home. If you do that first, you're the winner of the game. Okay? So, another thing to note, too, is when you're going through these locations here, this counts as a space, you have to flip over the monster that you're going to fight. So if it was green's next turn, It's a level 4 monster. It's a flying lizard. It tells you what it is and stuff. He'd lose it. Oh, green's gone, actually. I removed him. Oh, well. Let's say yellow instead. He spends his 1 for moving. Green lizard, flying lizard, 4. So he needs to roll a 4. Nope. So he loses a point of breath. 0, that's a 10. So he'd succeed. He'd kill the lizard. And sometimes he'd get a bonus. If not, he'd just get to move on. Now, obviously, in the real game, there's a lot of monsters all stacked up. And so you're going to be fighting more as you go along. And a couple of things to note, too, is you got treasure cards. When you land on these locations, you're going to be able to get things. They do different things. This is actually a boat. This is the one card in the game that will actually allow you to use these spaces. If you get there, you can go across the board. Sometimes you might not even get this card, though, so some games this space is actually not useful at all. And other times you're not going to go to these spaces because it's not really the point of the game, and it kind of takes away from what you need to do. If you get all 4 antidotes and you get back to the home before anybody else, you win. And people can play meddling cards whenever they want. And that's the game. Alright, so now you know how to play the quest for the antidote and get the antidotes to win. It's a roll to move game, and as you saw on my very, very good example of how to play, you can roll 1 quite a lot and go nowhere and spend turns doing almost nothing. And other times you're going to be rolling the die to fight monsters, and sometimes it's a 1, 2 monster and you can kill it pretty easily and you lose a couple breaths. Other times it's a 10. Now, that's all good and fine. The game reminds me of like an 80s game. It's got really cool artwork. It looked really promising. I like the art. It reminds me almost like kind of like Dungeon, you know? One of those like really old-timey roll-to-move kind of games. That one I'm not a big fan. It's okay. This one's kind of like that. But this one includes new things, like the breath. That's actually probably my favorite thing about the game, because you get to go around the board, and if you go to 0, you die, and every time you do anything, pretty much, you're going to suffer penalty of death, to some extent. There's a lot of things that screw you over, though. Okay, like meddling cards. Meddling cards are the bane of this game. One of them actually makes you get another antidote card. You already get 4, and you have to go around the board. Sometimes you're going to get ones that are all next to each other, and other times you have to go all in 4 corners. You just run around the board to kind of get these things. Let's say you get all 4 of them, and you're going back home, and you're winning. Somebody plays this card on you whenever they feel like it, and now you have to get another antidote that you draw. It makes you go all the way around the board again, or all the way halfway across the board again and go back. It sucks. Sometimes you're fighting the big king boss, which is really just rolling a lot. You have to roll a lot to get those 10s, you know, at least. I mean, you can go on the first roll, it's 1 in 10 chance, but who knows, it might take you 20 times. But when you kill the king, and then somebody plays the king decoy, meaning that wasn't the king and you gotta kill him again? No, I don't want to do that. Fallen Debris, my favorite and least favorite card. This one actually, as you're moving to complete your last quest or turn in, your opponent can play this card down in front of you and put a little square down, and then you have to go all the way around in order to go to the spot. Maybe you're 1 space away, or 3 spaces away technically, to get to that potion spot. It puts a little debris there. Now you gotta spend another 6 turns to go around and go to that location that you need to get the stuff done. When a player brings all of his or her ingredients, she just goes, gotta fight another monster. I mean, there's just these, they're just mean. They're mean. Quicksand. Choose a player to get stuck in quicksand. He or she can't move this round, thus losing his turn. Losing turns. Roll to move. I mean, we've got... Sometimes when you kill a big monster, you're going to get a really big reward. Like, for instance, double your rolls for your movement for the rest of the game. And let's say you roll a 10 on your first roll to fight that monster, where I rolled a 10 on my first roll to fight a 1. Well, you're not going to get to roll double across the entire game. It stays with you, and you're just going to fly by everybody. In the examples I played of this game, I mean, besides getting screwed over, this is the one game I threw the table on. I threw the table, everything, because it just drove me insane. Even this is giving me flashbacks. In all seriousness, though, realistically, this game does remind me of one of those old 80 games. It has the roll to move element, has the going back a turn or stopping or freezing yourself. I know that there's an audience for this game. People are definitely going to like this game. If you like games like Sorry and that kind of thing, it's definitely going to be one for you. It also has a very nice theme in which you're going to be going through across the board, suffering from lack of breath and that kind of thing. And if you go to 0, you die, so you have to be very careful how you want to move and where you want to go. There are these meddling cards that are very strongly take that. I mean, they're mean, and some of them are beyond mean. I mean, I like games like Cutthroat Caverns, and doesn't bother me at all when somebody does something to me. But with this game, it's basically, some of these cards basically tell me, take an extra 6 turns. That's kind of what the card is. And it drives me insane. And with a 6-player game, it can get excruciatingly painful. Not only that, but I wanted to go on the water space to go across the board, but you can't do that unless you get a treasure card that happens to be this one card, and there's at least 8 of them, and there's only 4 spaces on the board, so only 4 are going to go down. So even if I went to all 4 spaces in the entire game, I still might not get this water card, and in which case I'll never use those spaces in the game. Realistically, it's a back and forth game. It does have some impressive artwork. The board, the quality of the game is very wonderful. Upper Deck did a great job producing this game, making it look beautiful. It reminds me of Fairy Tale. It reminds me of all those kind of old classics. This says, the Bite of the King, stop the poisoned prisoners before they find the antidote. And so we're going around looking for the antidote. And you do have that thematic presence come out. But for me personally, the whole aspect, some games can get away with roll to move and it works out pretty nicely, like Mr. Game and stuff like that. But this one, it just takes me back in the past way too far. And losing a turn is something I don't want to do. I don't want to sit there for waiting 5 turns, everybody's taking their turn rolling dice. Comes to my turn, now I've lost a turn. Or now I can still take 6 turns, but it's going to be because I have to go across the board again. It just drove me nuts. Nevertheless, now, like I said, there is an audience for this game. And if it does sound like something you'd like, a game where you're going to be going back and forth, traveling across, collecting antidotes, screwing over your opponents to get other antidotes, that kind of thing, there's this back and forth attacking, but you only have a certain amount of these meddling cards. And if you don't want to use them, instead of using them, you can discard them, and you can draw a whole new you can take 5 breaths instead. And this will keep you alive throughout the game. Sometimes it's worth keeping these around. And just because you're not winning throughout the game, maybe your opponents are all passing out due to not being able to survive, asphyxiating on the poison or whatever. And in which case you can win that way. So there's multiple ways of winning. And I also want to say that there are a couple of variants of play. For instance, one of them is to take out these meddling cards, which I highly suggest you do, unless you like a really strong take that game. If you do like a strong take that game, this one's going to be a real solid one for you. I mean, because some people, maybe I'm just an angry gamer. I don't know. That could possibly be it. Or maybe it's just I don't like the super, super competitive ones, which, as well as the roll a move and lose a turn, actually. But nevertheless, though, there's like 5 or 6 different variants of the game, and there's actually a cooperative play one, which I didn't mind so much. That was actually more enjoyable. We went around the board trying to survive from running out of breath, all the same time of collecting these cards around the table. That one worked pretty well. I did enjoy that. But just this one altogether, I had flashbacks of all these crazy old games like Sorry and whatnot, and I think that's what got it all to me. Now, most of it was kind of just trying to joke with you guys, show you the idea of the game in a new light. But either way, if it's a game you're interested in checking out, Quest the Antidote, you can go ahead and check it out at Upper Deck, and if not, that's okay too.
I play the card, Len's cap was on, film a new video.